All right, thanks for joining me in my studio. Today we're here with Elizabeth, and we are going to do a makeup lesson on a smoky eye. It's actually going to be a very wearable smoky eye. It's going to be great for all eye shapes and all ages. So if you've never attempted or you've been afraid of doing a smoky eye, I'm going to show you what you can do to make it work for you. So the first thing I did, I primed both of her eyelids with an eyeshadow primer, or you can use your concealer. And I'm using a gray. I think color, especially if you're not used to wearing a smoky eye, is a little more forgiving than like a really deep, rich black or charcoal gray, or even the chocolate brown. So the rule of thumb there is choose a color that's in contrast with your natural eye color. Eggplant is always nice. Elizabeth has brown eyes, so I'm doing kind of a bluish gray. So just think about that. A deep green is always really pretty. And you can see I'm just going from lash to the crease. And this is one color. This is also a great way to kind of change your look from day to night. All right, so our second color is going to be just a taupe or something in the brown family. You can see how we're going right into the crease. And you're going to want to get it right onto that orbital bone. And really kind of work it into the, you really don't want any hard edges, so make sure you blend both your colors together. I'm blending the taupe with the blue-gray. And you see how much depth we get on her lid without even doing any liner, which is why this is so easy. You literally need two colors. And then at the end, I'm going to show you how to take it to the next level, but this is the best way to get started with a smoky eye if you're not familiar. All right, then I'm just going to use just a nice peach. You could even just use a little powder here just to kind of mat out the brow bone. Give it a little highlight. And again, go back and blend everything together. All right, look straight ahead for me. You see, notice I haven't done any concealer. I haven't really prepped her skin yet because you see all the fallout that's happened, all the eyeshadow that's underneath. We're going to go back and clean that up before we start her skin, but we're off to a good start. Okay, as you can see, we have both of Elizabeth's eyes done. Now I've filled in her brow with brow powder on this side, and I think this is so important. If you're not filling in your brows, you really should. You can see how much that frames the eye. It's going to wake you up. If you ever feel like you look tired, put some brow powder on. I prefer brow powder to brow pencil. It really looks a little more natural, and you just want to take a look at where you have just some sparse areas and fill those in. You don't necessarily need to fill in your whole brow, so just take a look at what you think will work for you. And always go back and brush them. All right, so we've got her brows done. We're going to move on to the rest of her face. Now you can see how much shadow is under here, and I know a lot of people look up for me like to start their makeup by putting their concealer on first, but you can see if you put your concealer on first and you did your smoky eye after that, how much eyeshadow would have just kind of clung to the concealer and made a bit of a mess. So you're just saving yourself a lot of trouble. I always do the eyes first. It just really, look up for me, makes everything a little neater, makes everything quicker, and you'll just get a better finished result. And always go ahead and clean up right in that inner corner. All right, so we're going to go ahead and prep Elizabeth's skin before we do foundation. I'm using a primer, and if you have never used a primer before, this is really something that everyone can benefit from. It fills in lines, fine lines, pores. If you have any dry patchy areas, it kind of smooths over those. If If you have oily areas, it helps kind of keep oil from breaking through. And you can be generous with it. It's also going to give you a smoother finish with your foundation. So you use less product to get a better finish, which is always nice. You're not going to have that cakey look. Great, and then we're going to follow this with an illuminating lotion. And this really gives you that dewy finish. You know, that's what a lot of people are looking for. It kind of puts the radiance back in your skin. So just put that right over the top of the primer. All right, and we're ready to move on. Okay, so you see we have Elizabeth's skin prepped and primed. We have the primer, illuminating lotion, and a beautiful sheer finish foundation. So I just wanted to show you one thing with her concealer. We haven't concealed under her eyes yet. I'm actually using what is called a salmon concealer. So if you have really dark circles or shadows under your eyes, something that has a lot of orange in it is really what's going to counteract that. And we're going to use that before her regular concealer. So look out for me. So she gets a little bit of a shadow under here. And especially when you're doing the smoky eye, you don't want anything underneath to kind of take it away from that. You want your under eye to look nice and bright. And we're going to get right here in the inner corner. So if you have any problems with really dark shadows underneath, then salmon concealer, it almost looks orange. And I know it seems somewhat counterintuitive, look out for me, but it's going to counteract any of the darkness underneath your eyes, and then we'll go back over with regular concealer. But you can see I'm working at the outer corner, and I'm also working on the bridge of her nose. All right, so let's just touch up over the top of that with her regular concealer, which would be something in a medium. Look up for me. And this is going to brighten. So we've counteracted any kind of darkness she has underneath, and now we're just brightening. If we went straight over dark circles with just a regular neutral toned concealer, it would just look really ashy. Straight up. Okay, I think that's going to do the trick. Nice and bright. Okay, so you can see we've concealed under Elizabeth's eye with the salmon. Look up for me. I'm just going to set it with a little bit of powder. And I'm just going to go back and give her a little powder in her T-zone. I know she gets a little oily. But I am going to leave the outside of her cheeks a little more fresh and dewy. Okay. So I'm going to move on to her cheeks. I'm going to show you a little bit more in the eyes later, but as you can see, this is just a beautiful version of a smoky eye that is wearable for anyone of any age, and it works on all eye shapes. So I'm going to leave it like this until the end of her look, and then at the end we'll go back and show you how to kind of take it to the next level. So for the moment, I'm just going to take a powder that's 2 shades darker than her natural skin tone, and give her a little definition on her cheeks. You don't want to use a bronzer that's too orange or too shimmery. That's going to look really harsh. And you can see I'm doing a very soft contour. You don't want, for day wear, it really just needs to be soft and blended. My other tip is you also don't want to bring any color past here. So kind of put your finger right there, and there really shouldn't be any color. That should be really clean. All right, so we've contoured with a little powder. I'm going to go back and give her a pop of color in her cheeks. Smile for me. I'm using a soft peach, which is a very universal blush color, so if you're not sure, peach is really always a good choice. And you always want to go back and make sure you've blended all of the edges. All right, and lastly, while we have the powder out, chin up for me. You always want to make sure you bronze or use your darker powder on your neck, because as you can see, everyone's neck is a little bit lighter than their chest and their face. It also gives you like a nice jawline contour, so there's nothing wrong with that. All right, look straight ahead for me. Good. Great. I'm going to go ahead and mascara Elizabeth, and we will be back to finish her look. All right, so we are going to go ahead and finish Elizabeth's look with just a soft berry lip. When you're doing a really smoky eye, you want to create some balance, so you don't want anything that's too dark or too heavy. And so I'm using a color that's maybe 1 or 2 shades more than her natural lip color. So the general rule is you want to choose something that's 1 or 2 shades up or 1 or 2 shades down. But you should always look at what the natural tones of your lips are. Hers have kind of a natural berry tone. If yours have more of a tan or a peachy tone, then obviously you're going to take those cues and choose colors accordingly. And you'll see Elizabeth already has a really beautiful natural lip line, so I'm not using a lip liner. But if you have fine lines or you have a problem with your lipstick feathering, then certainly you can go ahead and do that. I'm going to show you a quick tip. You can use your concealer brush to kind of create that really defined edge without using a lip liner. Just cleans up nicely right along there. Okay, so I'm going to finish off Elizabeth's lips with just a little gloss. I think the shine is kind of a nice counterpart. I used a shimmer on her lids. Okay, and here is where obviously you can see this is beautiful just on its own. So if you've never worn a smoky eye, I think this is the way to go. I would leave it clean underneath. But if you really want to take it to the next level, I'm going to show you what to do. So you're going to get either a liquid gel liner or a pencil. And we're going to go right into what's called the waterline. Look up for me. I know that feels weird. And it might feel a little tickly, especially if you've never done it before. There you go. All right, so you can see how that works. And then we're going to take just a really thin tipped brush, and using the same shadow we used on her lid, the kind of shimmery gray. Look up for me. And I'm going to wiggle this right into the lash line. You really don't want it very heavy underneath here at all. Just get it really tight, and you almost want to blend that liner that you put in the waterline into the lash line with the shadow. Always go back and clean up. And since we have a little color underneath, I'm going to go ahead and use just a little bit of mascara on her lower lashes. So you can see, you can go Either way, you can leave it clean underneath, or you can kind of take it to the next step. But either way, it's very wearable. Okay, so as you can see, we added the liner underneath Elizabeth's eyes, and she is ready to go out for the evening. So that's it, the two-step smoky eye on the top, and if you want to take it underneath to make it a little more dramatic, you just add 2 more steps. So couldn't be any easier than that. Thanks for joining me in my studio, and we'll see you next time.